Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Paul's Cinema Picks of the Week. I am Brantford's film enthusiast, Paul Westbrook, as it says on my shirt. I always like to advertise. So, sorry that I hadn't been on in a little while. It's just I'd been sick dealing with a cold, plus dealing with other issues and stuff like that. But, yeah, I assure you that I'm not going anywhere and I'm still here and still willing to talk about movies. And today's going to be an interesting topic. We're going to talk about heroes. But no, not the DC Extended Universe or the DC Universe or the Marvel Universe, like heroes like Spider-Man, Batman. And although Batman would be sort of fitting in that, but not like Superman or anything. But these are more of the violent anti-heroes. Yes, and I picked two specific anti-heroes that I'm going to be talking about today. And what's an anti-hero? An anti-hero is a person that's doing heroic things, like he's trying to solve crime, but they do it in a more violent way, almost like a vigilante type. Like, sort of like in the movie, for instance, Death Wish. The movie Death Wish, where Paul Kersey, played by Charles Bronson, and Bruce Willis in the remake, where that person wants to avenge like a loss or avenge something, and basically wipe out the criminal element off the street, so they do it in a violent way, like usually killing the criminals. So I picked two. I picked Judge Dredd, and I picked The Punisher, which is actually a Marvel property. The Punisher, who is Frank. We'll start with that one here. The Punisher was a cop named Frank Castle, and Frank Castle, he had his wife and his son killed. Well, he had his wife and son get killed when they were out on a vacation, and criminals killed them. So Castle, to avoid the red tape that goes on in the law, because let's face it, the law does have a sort of a red tape type rule book saying that they can only go so far. Well, Frank Castle pushes over that line of respectability in the police force, and then he becomes a violent vigilante called the Punisher. So I will start with the first movie here, Tom Jane, John Travolta. You see this one here?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Punisher. This was the movie that came out, I believe, in I think it was about 2004. Which was not a good year. My grandmother passed away that year. But anyway, yes. The Punisher, this was the one that told his origin, how he became the Punisher, and how Frank Castle went to that dark side of law enforcement, which really, in a sense, isn't law enforcement because he's a vigilante. And this is not the first movie that he did on the Punisher, but this is the one that they wanted to get more comic accurate, and they wanted to go more into what the big budget type movie would be, and their attempt at doing a big budget movie of the Punisher. So here he battles an evil, usually a corporate crime boss, and Castle as the Punisher, and they got the full outfit, including the skull on his shirt, and that's what makes him look imposing enough so that when he goes out and fights crime, and he goes and shoots all these people. And yes, these movies are very violent. It says there's brutal violence in it and there's gory scenes. I'm not sure how you would handle it, Sis.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff. So
I've
seen The Punisher.
Have you seen Punisher?
But I
Did you like it?
I like gory.
Well, there you go. Punisher is your favorite movie then.
Yeah.
The no holds barred action. But yeah, this was the first big budget attempt at doing the Punisher. And secondly, we have a follow-up, which is not really a sequel, but it's a follow-up, Punisher Warzone. And this one, they said, is the most accurate to the comic book character. Like, this one is extremely violent. And it came out in 2009. And Thomas Jane didn't play the part of Frank Castle this time. It's Ray Stevenson. He was in the miniseries Rome, which was on TV, and he's the one that plays the Punisher in this one. And you get introduced to the Punisher's arch villain, who is Jigsaw, and Jigsaw was Billy Rosati. And when Castle meets up with him, and he goes after Rosati and the different gangsters that are they're trying to destroy Castle. And what happens is Rosati has an accident. Like Castle shoots at him, and then he falls into this glass crusher thing. So it crushes his face. Well, enough. It scars his face up so it looks like a jigsaw, hence the name Jigsaw. And then you have to, then he has to deal with the fact that Jigsaw wants revenge against him. So you get to look a little bit more on the motivations of Frank Castle, and then of course Jigsaw going after him for revenge. And some of the criminals are pretty sick and demented in this movie, but it's what you expect out of a violent movie, right? You have all the shooting. You have all the shooting at these people and different...
blood, gore, and death.
Blood, gore, and death. And you've got to... It's in an action movie, you got to deal with stuff like that. And it's certainly one of the better films that I thought. I thought it was a little step above the Tom Jane one, but at the same time I really did enjoy it, and I thought it was really well done. And I like action movies, so yes, it was perfect. So Vengeance has a name, The Punisher. Then, okay, now we're going to go back a little bit. Like before those two that I just talked about, Dolph Lundgren did a version of The Punisher. And this one was back in the 80s that he did. And again, it's like the story of Frank Castle, who is a cop. He loses his family by the organized crime bosses and the different gangsters. So then his ex-partner says here, the ex-partner believes Castle survived the blast to become the Punisher. So he's investigating why Castle has all of a sudden become this vigilante-type figure. And it was good. It was, and in the 80s they did a lot of these type of movies where, like Captain America, for instance, they wanted to cash in on a lot of comic book successes, so they did some of these movies. They weren't the best. Like they did one in Captain America in the 90s, and Matt Salinger played that part. They even did Captain America back in the 70s with Red Brown. Like the Captain America movie in 1979, they did Captain America, and then they did Captain America 2: Death Too Soon, which actually starred Christopher Lee. But anyway, they did a lot of these lower budget versions of these comic books just to sort of get the ball rolling as far as a lot of the Marvel movies. Because today Marvel movies are very popular. So, yeah, they did this movie here, and then later they did the Tom Jane one, and then they did the other one, the War Zone, after that. But, just the same, the Punisher was a popular character in the comics, so they figured, why not, right? You have Spider-Man and the Hulk, and you have Iron Man, Captain America,
and back by popular demand, Dobby.
What that?
And back by popular demand, Dobby.
Yeah, everybody likes Dobby, yeah. Okay, speaking of low-budget versions, Sylvester Stallone did one called Judge Dredd. Have you ever seen this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone, non-stop action, according to Daily Variety. The big screen superstar Sylvester Stallone powers this non-stop action hit that's loaded with amazing special effects at a time when all-powerful, coldly efficient judges act as the supreme authority and both police force and the legal system. And I like this one. I thought this was, again, it's a really loud shooting type movie, but the problem is the first time they do Judge Dredd, he hardly wears the mask. It's like he's always taking off, as you see here.
Mm-hmm.
And I always knew the Judge Dredd character that has that familiar mask on. And I'll get to that shortly in the next movie that I show. But yeah, you have Rob Schneider, who does a lot of comedic roles. You have Armand Assante, and Diane Lane's in this one. She plays, I believe, the partner of Judge Dredd. And it's Judge Dredd has been accused. He gets accused, and because there's a plot in form to overthrow the government, and it says, and they want to eliminate all the judges. So Dredd gets framed for murder. So he has to clear his name, which of course, as you know, Judge Dredd, I'm sure that it all turns out for the best for him. But
I didn't really like the movie.
you didn't like the movie? You didn't like Judge Dredd, Stallone's version, right?
Yeah. I watched it, but I didn't get into it.
But yeah, it's like a one-man judge, jury, and executioner. It was good, but like I said, again, the problem is he kept taking off the mask. And so it's like, oh good, it's Judge Dredd. All of a sudden, oh, Sylvester Stallone behind it. So you want to see the character, and the character is really good when he's wearing the mask. Which brings me now to my next and final one, Dredd. And this one came out in 2012. And again, it's Judge Dredd in a post-apocalyptic future with the law enforcement. And this time, this Dredd actually keeps the mask on for the whole film. He doesn't take that off, so he looks like exactly like the character. And here, he has to go after a female mob boss, because this is in the far future, and then her name is Mama. Nice name for a villain. But what her plan is, she wants to expand the criminal empire through sales of Siomo, which is a dangerous reality-altering drug. And then Dredd has to come and start a full-scale war, basically, to stop her. And I like this one a lot more because, like I said, he wore the mask, so he looked more like Judge Dredd. It still maintains the action that you get in the last film, and at the same time, it's more comic accurate. That's what I always like to refer to it as, comically accurate, because it's more like the comic book. Because I remember reading about Judge Dredd as a kid, and among other heroes. He's sort of like Batman, but with a darker edge. But then again, so you could say the same thing about the Punisher. It's sort of the same thing. It's like a hero who means well, but at the same time goes through excessive measures in order to stop crime. And yeah, when I saw this one, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And it actually helped me to enjoy the Stallone one a little more, too. Because I was like, well, I got this one, so I might as well get the Stallone one. And I watched it as a double feature, but this one I actually like better. So, yes. There you have it. Judge Dredd and the Punisher. Two heroes that sometimes have to go to extreme measures in order to maintain the goal of stopping crime. Even though it's a little violent, at the same time, it's what you expect from these type of films. So, with that being said, I hope that you can like and subscribe to the channel. Hope you can leave a comment below, just so people can read some of the comments.
And check you out on TikTok.
And check me out at TikTok, yes, because I guess she's posting me a lot on TikTok, too.
Yep.
Post stuff on TikTok so people get to look at it. That's why I get all those messages and stuff. But for now, this is Paul Westbrook reminding you to, again, like and subscribe to the channel. And keep watching these great movies, because you just never know. I hope I can be of some help out there and recommend great films for all you people to watch. And I'll be seeing you at the movies. Bye for now.